Monday afternoon, and welcome to this edition of Border Report live from the Stream Center here in Harlingen, Texas, in Deep South Texas. I'm Alejandra Yanez, filling in for Rudy Mireles. Coming out of a busy week here in Harlingen in Deep South Texas on the border, with Charro Days festivities wrapping up in Bronzeville over the last few days. But alas, we're here and we have a great program for you today. A little bit later in the show, our Julian Resendiz will talk to a group that help find migrants who are lost in the deserts of New Mexico. But first, we'll start, as always, with today's top headlines. Beginning with Mexican prosecutors say they have returned the body of drug lord Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho, to his family. On Saturday, the Attorney General's office says it completely required procedures before the handover of the drug lord's remains. Prosecutors say genetic tests confirmed the requesters had blood ties to him, and the Mexican army killed El Mencho last week, leading to a sharp wave of retaliation violence across about 20 states. Now, officials say more than 70 people have died in connection to this, and the bloodshed raises fear about tourism ahead of the FIFA World Cup. And Big Bend National Park in Texas is attracting hikers, campers, and outdoor enthusiasts from around the world. But instead of the canyons and the Rio Grande, those visitors could soon be seeing border wall. The Trump administration is moving ahead with plans to erect a wall in the vast desert region of the state, and locals and elected leaders from both parties across far west Texas are condemning the Department of Homeland Security's newly renewed plans to build a border wall through Big Bend National Park and its neighboring state park. They are warning it will cut off access to a popular destination, choke off tourist dollars, and disrupt one of the nation's most pristine regions while doing little to stop illegal immigration. And Customs and Border Protection's public plans include more than 100 miles of planned border wall throughout Big Bend National Park, cutting off access to much of the Rio Grande from the American side. Last week, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem waived 28 environmental protection laws and regulations to expedite construction of that border wall. Contracts from these projects are expected to be awarded in the coming weeks and months, according to the agency, and construction is expected to begin toward the end of this year upon completion of land acquisition. And in San Diego, a county-wide ordinance restricting unauthorized federal agents from entering county spaces took effect on Friday. The Civil Liberties Enforcement and Accountability Rules Ordinance restricts ICE agents from entering non-public county facilities without a judicial warrant. Juliet Vara has our story.
In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States.
Days after President Donald Trump's State of the Union address, where he applauded his policies and crackdowns on immigration, a new line of defense now taking place in San Diego County at all county buildings.
Sometimes what government does is complicated, but this is clear.
County Board Chair Tara Lawson-Remer sending out a video message about a new ordinance that's now in effect. It restricts unauthorized federal agents from entering county spaces without a warrant or court order.
The Civil Liberties Enforcement and Accountability Rules telling ICE agents you are not allowed on county property, you're not allowed in where we provide county services without a judicial warrant.
If you have business to do at a county building, you'll see these signs now posted as we move into the first week of the ordinance taking effect. They say protected by the County of San Diego Civil Liberties Enforcement and Accountability Rules.
People deserve to feel safe. We're fighting to keep you safe. We're fighting to protect you from Trump's rogue ICE agents. If you need assistance, if you need services here in San Diego County, we are putting these signs up.
The County Board of Supervisors voting to approve the ordinance. Supervisor Jim Desmond opposed the decision, saying he's against sanctuary city policies. On X, he writes, when law enforcement can't share information or cooperate effectively, communities become less safe, not more. He goes on to say, California politicians should take note. It's safer for everyone when coordination is the priority and sanctuary state status must end. Meantime, President Trump maintaining his policies are working and keeping the country safer. This as many Americans protest the crackdowns, not only across the nation, but also here in San Diego.
After 4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, We now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far.
The County Board of Supervisors voted on this back in January, but now it's officially in effect. We should note that it does not apply to emergency situations. From Kearney Mesa, I'm Juliet Vara. I'll send it back to you.
And that was a look at our top border headlines this Monday afternoon. Now we're going to be joined by our El Paso correspondent, Julian Resendiz. Good afternoon, Julian. Can you hear me?
Alejandra, I can hear you. Good to be here with you today.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on today, sir?
Absolutely, with pleasure. So let me tell you, about 3 years ago, some grassroots organizations alerted me to a great human tragedy going on along the U.S. Mexico border. Specifically, we're talking about a spike in the number of migrant fatalities occurred in the desert between between El Paso, Texas, and the Arizona and New Mexico border. We had a record 146 migrant fatalities at the time, which only increased by at least 30 the following year. Clearly, this prompted a response from federal immigration officials in the form of this balloons, pretty much aerostatic balloons that had some camera capabilities so they could spot people in the desert. However, we didn't know the extent of the tragedy until we hooked up with an organization called Battalion Search and Rescue, which invited us to go along on one of their searches in the desert of New Mexico. I can tell you, Alejandra, that what I saw that afternoon under the sun was really, really shocking. And that is, we got to see in real time some of the struggles that these migrants face as they get abandoned by smugglers, as they cross the border wall, as they try to find civilization and maybe a right to a better life in the interior of the United States. We saw human bone fragments, we saw skulls, and also we were told that these remains were not just random remains. Obviously, they are someone's daughter, someone's mother, somebody's sister. And that's how I met James Holeman and Abby Carpenter of Battalion Search and Rescue. They are joining us today via this call. I'd like to introduce James and Abby so they can tell us a little bit more, first of all, about their organization, how it got together, and what is it that you guys do out there in the desert.
Hi, Julian. Thank you so much for talking to us, and it's good to see you again. Yes, the Battalion Search and Rescue has been around since 2020, and we operate in Arizona and now in New Mexico. We expanded into New Mexico in 2023, and we came upon a very disturbing situation. We weren't aware of it when we entered New Mexico, but with the help of Abby, my partner, and many great volunteers, many of them women, we're doing our best, but we're citizen response, Julian.
All right. James, can you tell us about some of the findings that you saw out there in the desert and what happened when you tried to report those findings to the local authorities?
Wow. Well, we were really shocked and taken aback, Julian. We're talking to you today from Arizona. We're in the Sonoran Desert. It's vast and really remote, and we do searches here where we backpack deep into the desert and don't see anybody or for days. But in New Mexico, you know, we are a few miles from El Paso, right next to Sunland Park in Santa Teresa, New Mexico. We are right on the edge of town, really. There's warehouses, there's the wall, there's vehicles and plane traffic, and we find deceased, predominantly women, almost every single month there, Julian.
And James, I wanted to ask you, I mean, like you said, I personally was shocked when I saw the remains. What is it that you guys feel when you make these findings, and why is it important that you continue doing what you do?
When we come upon remains, for myself, I feel a shock. It's not something that I would expect to see deceased human beings on public U.S. land. And part of the reason that I feel like I'm there is so that I can represent the families that aren't there. Many of them are not able to come and search for missing family members. So when I'm there, I'm searching for them as well. We're not looking for specific people, but we're searching in a general area, and we find human remains, generally females, every month. It's shocking. It feels wrong, and it feels like it's really important work that we're doing.
Right. I wanted to ask you guys, why is it that you guys primarily are finding females? Is it because they're the ones that maybe smugglers are more likely to abandon whenever there's trouble, such as they get injured, they step on a rock, or something like that? Why is it that it's so many females?
Well, this is where the paid professionals really need to step up and address this because it's a shocking number. It's a shocking statistic. Over 100 women and young girls have been found in a very small area of about 5 by 10 miles, just west of El Paso. Their average age is 29, Julian. The youngest are a pair of 16-year-old girls. There's clusters of women being found side by side or repeatedly at the same location. And we really need the support and cooperation and the answers from the state and government agencies. We have asked the New Mexico government, who has recently launched a truth commission into these Zorro Ranch situation, to expand their focus into this corridor with these many women. And lastly, I want to mention the deaths of women in this area represent 55% of the deaths in this area. That's triple anywhere else along the border. It's unheard of.
Right. James, Abby, have you been able to identify or at least learn the identities of some of these women? And what can you tell me about them? Who were they? I understand there was one young woman from Guatemala.
I've been searching with James and the battalion for about 2.5 years, and I've participated in seeing maybe 90 sites with human remains, and of those, only 3 had identification with them. It's not to say that the others might not be identified by what's also around them, but of these, there was a woman from Oaxaca, Mexico, and another woman from El Salvador, and a man from Guatemala.
James, finally, is it important for these searches to continue? And how do you go about getting volunteers to accompany you in this mission?
Well, we have incredible supporters, Julian, from the El Paso Juarez community. We have faith leaders, priests, nuns, immigration attorneys. It's hard work, though. We're hiking off trail, direct sun, safety is paramount, and we feel it's incredibly important. These are our neighbors. Nobody is looking for them. No one is looking for them. There are thousands unrecovered families waiting for answers that are left with a hole in their heart. We know that many we find may not be identified, but they matter. They matter, Julian, and they become part of this this story, this mosaic of what's happening in our backyard, in our borderlands.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're going to pick up this conversation shortly after a break. Important work that James and Abby have been doing here on this side of the border. Border Report Live will be right back after this short break. Welcome back to Border Report Live. Jumping back into a conversation with James and Abby, who are with Battalion Search and Rescue out of Sonoran, Arizona. And we're jumping into an important conversation here with Julian Resendiz. Julian?
Yes, Alejandra. I just wanted to emphasize on the importance of this effort. Like I said, in the past few years, going back to 2020 up to 2024, we had a huge spike in migrant movement from all over Latin America, over the U.S. border wall sometimes over the desert, very difficult places to walk, to go undetected. And this has resulted in fatalities. Some of those fatalities may have to do with people, migrants falling from the wall and injuring themselves badly. Others have to do with groups successfully crossing into the U.S. Undetected, and then somebody who's part of a group developing an injury and falling behind and being abandoned by smugglers. And that's where the efforts of groups like Battalion Search and Rescue, Abby and James, come in. I wanted to make one final observation, and that is that sometimes we hear, well, what are these bodies really recent or not? I've heard some words about this remains being archaeological finds. I can tell you for myself, Alejandra, that I have seen the remains like on top of the soil, right on the desert itself. Typically, when you talk about an archaeological find, you find them underground. But as I had the, I guess you call it the misfortune of finding along with Battalion Search and Rescue all these remains, they were right there. I mean, I don't know if it was 2 years or 5 years, but definitely they are recent people who passed through there recently and couldn't make it any further. I'm going to take it back to James and Abby for any final thoughts. If you can give us some information as to how people can contact you, maybe to join the effort or to do any other efforts that may find closure for those victims that already have been identified, even though they're only a handful.
Thanks, Julian. Thank you so much. We really appreciate talking to you today. This is such an unreported and underreported story of the thousands, really, of migrants and refugees that succumb in the desert. And I also want to mention that they absolutely die from other not natural causes. Over 70% of women and young girls are assaulted somewhere along their journey on both sides of the border. And this is where we need the government agencies to step in and do the proper investigations here and determine the cause of death and then respond and try to prevent these situations. Migrants and refugees have been monetized. They have a price on their head. And the women are the most vulnerable out there. And this is what we're seeing in that area. And we have a very unique situation of women like Abby leading mostly women, volunteers, and finding mostly women in the desert. Over 100 in less than 2 years in this small area, Julian. So thank you again.
Thank you, James. Alejandra, back to you.
Important conversations there that we were having with James and Abby from the Battalion Search and Rescue in Sonoran, Arizona. Very important conversations, but unfortunately we are going to have to take another quick break here. Border Report Live will be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Border Report Live. Getting back into some of your headlines. ICE agents in New York City are accused of lying about a missing child so they could get access to a Columbia University residential building. The agents entered the building and arrested an international student from Azerbaijan they claim overstayed her visa. Jay Down has our story.
In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States.
Days after President Donald Trump stated protected by the County of San Diego.
Bit of a technical difficulty there. Getting into some more headlines, the Department of Homeland Security admitted to Congress that it apprehended 261 DACA recipients with criminal records, that's a quote, in 2025, resulting in 86 deportations. It's according to information obtained by Politico. DACA, short for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, is a U.S. immigration policy established by executive order in 2012 under President Barack Obama. Now, DACA protects eligible undocumented immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children against deportation while providing them with temporary renewable 2-year work authorization and legal stays. Politico states DHS Secretary Kristi Noem believes DACA is illegal because the program is due to an administrative provision, something a federal court in Texas confirmed. Some Democrats in Washington disagree with Noem's claims, arguing DACA recipients are vetted every time they go through the renewal process, making it highly unlikely that these recipients had serious criminal records. And as of last year, the U.S. Department of Transportation has tightened restrictions on non-citizen commercial driver's license, those who are licensed issued to truckers, and the decision is significantly impacting migrant drivers. The Transportation Department says in Illinois, 20% of those licenses were issued illegally, and state officials disagree. Chad Muir has our story.
Illinois is one of a number of states that have seen a pause on non-domicile CDLs. Those are CDLs specifically for visa holders. And they're not alone there as well. Some of the providers who give CDL training in the state could lose their certification. Truck driver Fennell Lewis came to the U.S. from Haiti nearly 20 years ago.
I spent most of my life here working, paying taxes, trying to build a life for myself and for my daughter.
He has what's called the non-domicile CDL, a commercial license for visa holders.
Do you think the English proficiency is an important part of the regulations?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, 100%.
English proficiency is not a new regulation, but the dangers were highlighted here in Missouri this week when a driver from Somalia was caught going the wrong way down Highway 61.
I'm technically blaming FMCSA and some other state that technically allowing them to be able to take the test in different language.
The U.S. is now cracking down on unqualified drivers, and thousands of CDL trainers could lose their certification. That includes Clayton School District and the village of Roxana, Illinois. They both tell me that's because their training program's been inactive for 12 months. Both have reapplied.
We rely on a steady workforce that can drive the trucks and deliver the goods that Americans need every day.
The Illinois Trucking Association says agriculture and the Metro East rely heavily on non-domicile CDLs. But Illinois and other states have put a pause on new licenses amidst audits.
And hopefully the Illinois Secretary of State can get the things that they need to get fixed with the feds. And
Lewis worries what that could mean when it's time for him to renew his license.
By pushing all those people out, a lot of us gonna be able to pay technically for what other people done.
The federal government recently said 20% of Illinois' non-domicile CDLs were issued illegally, but the state refutes that. It says all immigration documentation in question has been provided. Reporting in Pontoon Beach, Chad Mira, Fox 2 News.
And for more stories like this, from immigration to trade, security to culture, Border Report Live dives deep into the issues impacting life along the U.S. Mexico border. You can join us for expert interviews, on-the-ground reporting, and the latest developments you won't hear anywhere else. Subscribe now on our Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the iHeartRadio app, and stay connected on the border. Earlier, we spoke with our correspondent, Julian Resendiz, who had a great conversation with the folks over there in Arizona. And that's going to do it for our program today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow for another episode of Border Report Live. I'm Alejandra Yanez.